but I went abroad last semester, so we'll see if I get that up and running for the next academic year. But next semester I'll also be busy running Psychi, which is our psychology honors chapter of a national psychology honors forum. And so I'm really excited to do that, and that's a little bit about me.
Hey guys, I'm Rachel. I'm a rising junior. I'm from New York City. I'm a philosophy major and religious studies minor. Other than being a tour guide on campus, I'm a peer academic coach for philosophy. I'm also a peer health educator, which means I took a 3 credit class to be a kind of like peer on peer mentor for other students and work in our wellness center. I'm also a member of our radio station, and I'm preparing to go abroad to Prague in the fall.
Okay, thanks, guys. So we know that when you guys check us out, either online like tonight, or if any of you are able to get to campus, we have a pretty good idea of some of the other colleges you might be interested in. There are a lot of very good, strong, small liberal arts colleges in our part of the country. So I always feel it's my job, at least for a few moments, to pull us out of that crowd, tell you a few things about us that we think are pretty cool. Hopefully you will agree, and perhaps pique your interest. I always like to begin with the incredible breadth of our academic program. We're currently offering 43 majors on campus. We've only got about 2,700 students. I won't throw a lot of statistics at you tonight, but I do want you to know that our average class size is only 16, and we only have 8 students per faculty. And to be able to offer that range of choice with those numbers is something that we're very pleased with. I think it is important to note that we don't admit by major. So we have the same set of expectations for someone who wants to study art or business or dance or French or math or anything in between. We've got one big applicant pool, and if you are admitted and choose to join us, you would have until toward the end of sophomore year to declare your major. And a lot of students join us undecided. And we don't view that as unmotivated or unfocused. We figure when you fill out your Common App, you will likely be 17 years old. You may not know what you want to do with the rest of your life yet. And we are more than okay with that, and have a long line of faculty that are eager to help guide you toward those decisions. Double majoring is very common here at Skidmore, often in areas that are not related, and we love when our students can take more than one academic track. In fact, a number of years ago, we had a brochure that posed the question, what's the typical Skidmore student? And one of the answers we gave to that was the tap dancing brain surgeon, which was partly a joke, but it is actually serious here on this campus. You can walk through the academic halls, see a student head down in their science research here, and then later on that night, that same student is on stage dancing. Very common story here, kind of a do both mentality. Our largest major on campus is management and business, which is a little unusual for a school like us, but that's typically followed by subjects like English, psych, bio, studio art, government, environmental studies, and after that, you've got almost 40 other choices. So lots of choice, small campus. Next, a quick word about the incredible strength in the arts and performing arts here at Skidmore. I think it is not a stretch to say you will find no better programs at a liberal arts college. It's kind of a corner that we have carved out. We know anecdotally that many of our students who study these areas also apply to some of the top art schools in the entire country, places like RISD and Juilliard and Skidmore. And if they got into all of them, they had a decision to make. Do I only want to pursue my craft in college and only go to college with people who are also only doing that? Or I've been dancing since I could walk. I know I want that to be part of my college experience, but I've also always known I want to be a doctor in pre-med. And Skidmore is the kind of place where you can do them both at a super high level without sacrificing the quality of either one. So we offer conservatory level programs, but within a liberal arts environment and not in a conservatory. And I know a lot of our students really do appreciate that. So if the arts are your scene and your thing, you're going to love it here. We do them exceedingly well, especially for a liberal arts college. And if they're not your thing, that's cool too. But you're going to have a friend who's super into it, and you're going to go to their show or their art opening or whatever it might be. And we think that that will just make your life in college a little bit more interesting. Quick word about clubs and organizations. We've got about 130 of them, plus 19 Division III varsity sports. If you come to Skidmore and you ever find yourself at a Skidmore hockey game, listen to the public address announcer's voice because you'll recognize it. It's me. Little fun thing I do here. Our clubs include what you'd expect. They are academic, athletic, religious, social, cultural, political. If you can think of it, we likely have it. If you come to Skidmore with an idea for a club that we don't have yet, start it. We would love for that list to grow, and it often does. But there's one area that I know we won't grow into, and this is something that I know makes us really different from many of our competitors, and that is a Greek system. We have no fraternities or sororities on our campus. We've never had them. We never will. If you know anything about the social scene that exists here at Skidmore, you will know that we have what I know is a well-deserved reputation for having a student body that's friendly, welcoming, open-minded, laid back, cooperative, inclusive, pretty much what my own kids would call chill. That is really what it is like on our campus. The students are just flat out nice. And this is something that's hard to quantify. It doesn't show up in a US News and World Report chart or anything like that, but don't you want to go to college where people are nice to you? I just feel like that should be part of it. And I've been at Skidmore a long time. This is my 25th year here. And in my view, it is the thing that has remained the most consistent. The students are just flat out nice. And I recently came across what I thought was a pretty interesting piece of advice on how you can tell if this is really true when you're on a college campus. And of course, you guys are visiting us online tonight, but try this at Skidmore or elsewhere. This ambassador told me that when he was in high school checking out college campuses, he would do what he called the map test. He would sit down in the busiest part of campus he could find, and even if he knew exactly where he was going, he would take out the campus map and just kind of look lost because he wanted to see what would happen. And I thought that was a pretty cool idea. And he said when he did that here at Skidmore, he practically had to fight our students off. He said everywhere he turned, Skidmore students were coming up to him and saying things like, "Hey, how's it going? Are you lost? Where are you headed? Ask me anything. I love it here." Over and over. And he said it was this super nice, unrehearsed welcome from our student body and a really big impact on him. He said that prior to that visit, he had done his research. He was pretty sure he was going to apply here anyway. But after experiencing that, we shot to the top of his list, and now he's a Skidmore graduate. So if you ever do come to Skidmore, if you're able to get here, I know some of the people signed up today are from really far away, but if you can get here, try that map test. I know that will pass it. We always do. And of course, other colleges will as well. We're not the only friendly college, but again, I know that we're one of them, and it really has a big influence on your 4 years here. Finally, I think no discussion of the distinctiveness of Skidmore would be complete without at least a quick description of our home city of Saratoga Springs. Now, I'm going to keep it professional here and not specifically name any other liberal arts colleges or their hometowns, but I really believe that Skidmore is on top of that list. I feel really strongly about this. Let me tell you very quickly why I think we're so great here. We're a city of about 30,000 and we're home to a lot of really interesting things. I think a lot of people know us for the country's oldest thoroughbred racetrack. We just had the Belmont Stakes here a few days ago, and we'll have it again next year. Fun thing to have in town, but it's a lot more than that. Every year we host the New York City Ballet, the Philadelphia Orchestra. We've got an amazing Live Nation rock and pop concert series at the beautiful Performing Arts Center right down the road. Last summer, within one calendar month, I saw the New York City Ballet, Philadelphia Orchestra, and Sting all on the same stage, which was pretty cool for me. I'm a huge classic rock fan, at least for my favorite band, and to have the lead guy come here was pretty cool. So lots of big name acts coming right into Saratoga. We've got great shops, parks, restaurants. We offer our students things to do here way out of proportion to the size of the city. So you get a lot of the benefits of being in a larger place without having to be in one. And not a lot of liberal arts colleges pull that off. And I know that we do. So I know location isn't everything. You've got a lot to consider when you are picking appropriate colleges for yourselves. But keep in mind that when you choose your college, you're likely picking your home between the ages of 18 and 22. And we think that the surrounding area should at least have some impact on that decision. And in my whole 25 years here, I have never met a Skidmore student that doesn't really like the town. Okay, so let me pause there for a moment. Quick recap, wide range of academic choice on a small campus. wonderful strength in the arts and performing arts, especially for a liberal arts college, a wide range of Greek-free activities with super friendly students, and a wonderful home city of Saratoga Springs. Okay, so I'm going to step back for a moment, and Melanie and Rachel, if you would, I'd like to throw it back to you guys. And sorry, if you can each tell our guests anything that you've liked about Skidmore, or perhaps multiple things that you've enjoyed about being a Skidmore student so far.
Yeah, of course. I also mentioned in the chat in 1 month that SPAC I saw Willie Nelson, Neil Young, and Pitbull. So a range of people come to Saratoga Springs. I'm pretty sure like Mumford and Sons was just here, like Avril Lavigne, Glass Animals was just here. So we get a lot of people. I'd say like my favorite part about Skidmore is definitely the relationships I've had with my professors. Um, the professors here really care about how you're doing like outside of the classroom, not just like mentally, but also like what you're interested in otherwise, like academically. And they'll like want to get lunch with you, and they'll want to like see you outside of the classroom and like after you've had a class with them. So in the beginning of your time here, you have like a first year Scribner seminar, and that person is your advisor. And my first year seminar teacher ended up, he lives in Saratoga, like taking us all to his house. He got his like son and wife to drive us all there. He like got us all Indian food. Like before we got there, he like made a list of all our favorite snacks, and they were all like sitting out on chairs for us when we got here. And he ended up like staying my advisor for um I chose him as my new advisor. So he's just like a really great person that like anytime I go have like a conversation with him, we talk for like 2 hours about like the most random stuff. And then like another teacher I've had here for like a random class, I like literally, this was the first time meeting her. She's like a world renowned jam maker. She made us all our own like flavored jams at the end of our like main project. So I just say, and then I like saw her at the farmers market like last weekend. So I just say like that's a very big part I love about Skidmore, kind of just like these really close relationships you make with your teachers.
I think similarly to Rachel, but expanding a little bit further, the sense of community, both on and off Skidmore's campus, like whether it be on the campus or in Saratoga Springs in general, people really love Skidmore, and people really like to engage with what Skidmore is able to offer to its students, but also to the surrounding community. So we have this really big music show in November called Skidmania, where students will perform music from 50 years ago that year. So this year, students will be performing music from 1975. We get a lot of local community members coming to that event, and we get to sit next to them in the audience. We get to chat with them during intermission. I sat next to this one woman my sophomore year, and she was asking me if I was a student. And I was like, well, yeah, of course. I didn't realize that many people were actually coming from the local area. And she was like, oh, I graduated in like 1965. Like this woman was nearly 90 years old. And it was just really cool to be able to like sit and chat with her about her experience going to Skidmore, and letting her know like what's changed. And she was just really happy to support Skidmore students and cheer them on, and a really incredible performance. And I got the privilege to speak to an alum. And it's the same with what Rachel was saying. Your professors often are coming to support you in the things that you are doing. I know plenty of professors who learned that one of my peers in my social work classes, she took a K-pop dance class, and then suddenly half the class was going to that K-pop performance with the professor and cheering her on. Same thing happened when one of the students was in this like vocal soul collective class. We all filed into the music building at 7 p.m. on a Saturday and listened to our friend and cheered her on and got her flowers. And it was just really incredible to see that camaraderie between students, faculty, and the community. So that probably tops it for me at Skidmore.
Hey, thanks, guys. A long time ago, I went to a very large urban university, and I do not have any stories like that. Now, that doesn't mean it's a bad place. There are positives and negatives for everything. But now that I've been here so long, I've heard these kinds of stories so many times, and I know that it's definitely the case here at Skidmore. Okay, so I'm going to next talk briefly about our admissions process, kind of what it takes to get in, the things that we are looking for, the things that we emphasize, and how you might position yourself to be a competitive applicant here. And again, I encourage you guys to put answers in the Q&A. I see Rachel and Melanie have that down to 0, so thanks for keeping up with that. But keep them coming. We would love to address as many questions as you guys have. So if any of you do in the end decide to apply here, there will be a number of things that we would like to know about you. We want to know your talents, your skills, your interests, things you like, things you don't like, all of it. But the bottom line is our process is primarily driven by your academic achievement, which means among all paperwork you may submit to us, by far your high school transcript will be the most important one. And within it, it's your course selection that we will pay the most attention to. We want to see that you're taking on a reasonably challenging academic program. And we leave that vague on purpose because we know that this can mean very different things at different high schools. Some schools offer 25 AP classes, some don't offer any. That does not make it a bad school. It could just be a curricular choice they've made. So what we will do is take a very close look at what's been available to you and what you decided to take. Now, what it doesn't mean is you don't have to be AP everything to get into Skidmore. If you hate math, we may not see AP calculus on your transcript, and we would be fine with that, provided that you are getting to the top level in other areas, whatever your best or favorite subjects are. So the rigor of your course selection relative to offerings at your own school is super important to us. So let's say we had 2 applicants from the same high school, and one of them is finishing with, let's say, a 3.2, good solid high school average with tough classes. Then the 4.0 comes along, never having taken an available advanced class. We don't even have a conversation in our office. It is very clear to us that 3.2 is the stronger and better prepared applicant. The GPA went down because the classes were harder. I mean, you guys know this. If you have already taken advanced coursework or plan to later on, I don't have to tell you that those classes come with more homework, more reading. They're far more demanding than the other classes. And it's not unusual at all for us to see the GPA dip a little bit when the level of difficulty goes up. So bottom line, I would prefer to see you get a B in a hard class than an A in an easy one. And that's how we look at the 4 years. So you know yourselves best. Take on an academic challenge to the degree that you think you'll handle it pretty well. That kind of a course selection is really important to colleges like us. So that's first on the list in our process. After that, everything else is tied for second place. I will run through the other items we consider in no particular order, and then I will wrap it up, and we will continue to field some of your questions. So you guys will have to write an essay for us. I suspect this isn't breaking news to anyone on the Zoom tonight. It has been part of the deal for quite a while. I am here to tell you tonight that if you do not have a Nobel Prize, or you haven't cured cancer yet, or anything like that, you can still write a terrific college essay. It is okay if you haven't done anything heroic or amazing while in high school. I have read terrific essays about summer camp, grandmothers, best friends, issues that are important to our applicants. Those are the stories that typically resonate with us the most. And you only have 650 words. It's really not that long, actually. So get to the point, tell us something interesting, and we will appreciate that. So again, it doesn't have to be anything big or heroic. Just tell us something about yourself. As far as the supplemental essay questions go, the sometimes referred to as the short answers, we do not have them. And you are welcome. You're going to finish your Common App and you're going to be all psyched and feel like you're done. And then you're going to have 31 essays to write. But you won't have to do it for us. We used to ask them a long time ago, never felt like they really gave us much insight into the applicants. And we have not done that now for the last, 10 or 12 years. So maybe we've made it just a touch easier to apply to Skidmore. Other folks will write about you as well. We ask for 2 letters of recommendation from teachers in academic subjects, as well as one from your college or guidance counselor. Now, regarding activities, you may be aware that the Common App will give you the opportunity to fill in up to 10 things that you're involved in. Now, I've always thought that that's a pretty big number, and I hope you're not intimidated by it or feel like you have to fill in all 10 lines to convince us that you're nicely involved. Sometimes the best involved students I read only fill in 3 because those are the things they clearly care about and have stuck with over time. It is very much quality over quantity in our review process. And we get it. If you're a varsity athlete, that's a ton of hours after class. If you're in your school's play, same number of hours. Maybe you've had a part-time job. There are a million things you could be doing that are worthwhile, and we will make no value judgment about those choices. It is our hope, though, that you maintain consistent involvement in at least a few. If you come to Skidmore, you're not going to join 130 clubs. We do not expect you to be in everything at the high school level either. Finally, last piece of the puzzle for us is standardized testing. If you follow higher ed news, you may be aware that several schools are starting to reintroduce it into their process. That will definitely not be us. We are firmly committed to test optional. I believe if you guys are high school juniors or finishing up that year, that you will be our 12th or 13th class without requiring testing. We have always believed that your high school transcript is not only a better indicator of the kind of student you are now, but a far better predictor of the kind of college student that you'll become. In fact, over recent years, our students' standardized test scores have provided us with virtually no correlation to first-year Skidmore GPA. It is all over the map. So it was losing its predictive value. There are a number of socioeconomic issues tied to fairness that we are growing more and more uncomfortable with, and we decided to make the break. So it's really up to you. You can send scores, you cannot send scores. And trust me, we know what's up. If you score well, you're probably going to send your scores. If you don't send scores, that might mean you didn't do as well. Of course, we know that that's the case. But last year, 60% of the students that we admitted did not send test scores. So there is a clear avenue to being admitted to Skidmore without doing that. It is totally up to you. And that is Skidmore admissions in a nutshell. Piece of cake, right? Hopefully nobody is too stressed out yet. Okay, so always wary of not talking too much. We do have the full hour, as I said before. I would encourage you guys to continue to put questions into the Q&A. I see there is one in right now, and that is being attended to by Rachel right now. So let me just give it a minute. Hopefully you guys can fill up that chart with some more questions. Okay, in the meantime, I'll throw one out to both of you guys. We get this a lot. How's the food at Skidmore?
Um, I think it's pretty good. I was on an unlimited meal plan my first 2 years here, as is everyone. As long as you live in a residential hall, you're going to be required to be on the unlimited meal plan. We have about 9 different stations in our dining hall with all different kinds of options. My personal favorite is Global, which is like a different international cuisine for lunch and dinner every day. And so you get quite a diverse range of options from that station alone, which is really great. My friends and I also really enjoy the fact that every day you can count on there being at least one type of French fry. They switch it up every day, different shapes, different thicknesses. It's always fun. I had my first curly fry in the dining hall here at Skidmore, but I've been pretty satisfied with the food that we have. I don't think there's really ever been a time where I've left the dining hall hungry. In fact, I usually leave the dining hall with food in my pockets. I take a cookie for the road almost every time. So that I think it's more typical for students to be stealing food from the dining hall than for people to be hungry.
Good,
Yeah, I
good answer.
agree with Melanie. I am rarely hungry when I leave that dining hall. Honestly, my pockets are stuffed with crumbs. But yeah, we have a ton of choices. Also, all of the stations rotate on like a 4-week schedule, I'm pretty sure. So you're not going to have like any like repeats of food for like a pretty long time, which is also really nice. I can also talk about like this question on advising first year support prior to declaring a major. So I mentioned before in every freshman is put into a Scribner seminar. You're able to choose that Scribner seminar the summer before you come to Skidmore. There's about 40 different ones. You usually like rank your top 10. Most people get their like top 3 or 4. Um, and then the teacher who teaches that class is your advisor until you decide to declare a major. Um, I'm kind of an anomaly in this because I did come into Skidmore wanting to be a philosophy major. I ended up in a Scribner seminar with a professor who was a philosophy major and really, really liking him. But that doesn't usually happen with most students. Usually you get that advisor, they help you kind of just like explore the classes at Skidmore. I think there's a very big emphasis on kind of like going into your first year and kind of just like taking whatever, like kind of like feels cool to you, which is kind of like what my advisor stressed. And then like once it comes the time to declare your major, you can find a professor that you would want to be your advisor. I'm just kind of an anomaly with this because I decided to stick with my advisor. But I'd say also if you go into any like HPAC or like pre like a track for like to be a vet or like any kind of doctor or something like that, I'm pretty sure you also get another advisor. So you get 2 advisors, which is really nice. So yeah, I'd say like it's very, very helpful here in your Scribner seminar. You also get a peer mentor that's an older student, and they have like a 45-minute time with you like every single week. Where they're just like introduce you to different things at school, get you like super like assimilated and like show you where all the important resources are. They're always there. You like get their number. You can ask them like any questions you want. I actually like became like really good friends with my peer mentor. He like just graduated. I was like so sad about it. But yeah, you get like a good amount of advising before you like have to declare anything. And I'd say most people I know who came in here um did not know what they wanted to study, which is like totally fine.
Thanks, Rachel. I'm going to take a couple that I saw in the chat. One of them, the question is posed that the student had a tough time in 9th grade, but has rebounded since then and done much better. Is there still a chance to get into Skidmore? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. When you were a 9th grader, you were probably 14 years old and you may not have had it all figured out yet. I have seen lots of times where students do rebound and they may get off to a rough start and then suddenly they just take off. Upward trends in grades are definitely noticed, and sometimes we feel like we're getting those students just at the right time. So the best way to communicate that, there are a couple of ways. First of all, our advice is to the extent you feel comfortable sharing the circumstances, please feel free to send it to us. We actually do read those things. We certainly don't want to pry or make you feel uncomfortable about any hardships you may have experienced, but if you feel okay talking about it, we feel okay reading about it. And also, that information is often communicated to us through the guidance counselor. So in your meetings with that person, if you are comfortable with having them put in their words what has happened, then that is completely fine. And it's not end of story if 9th grade didn't go as well as you had hoped. Okay, the other question I'm going to take is there was a question about financial aid. Let me quickly run down how we handle that. We are very devoted to need-based financial aid. In fact, 98% of our budget for financial aid is need-based. And we guarantee to meet full financial need for all 4 of your years here. You do have to reapply for financial aid each year, but if your finances stay roughly the same during that time, you can expect that your financial aid package will also stay roughly the same. Of course, it will grow each year because our tuition increases and your financial aid package will grow at the same percentage to make sure that we keep up with that. But we don't just lure you in with a good first year package and then kind of leave you stranded. We do guarantee to meet that full need for all 4 years. So we get it. We're kind of in that upper level expensive college. but don't write us off for that, because we do meet that full financial need. And I would encourage you to check out what's called the net price calculator. Pretty much every college has them on their financial aid webpage, including us. You put in roughly your family finances. You don't have to be a CPA in order to get through this. And then we'll come to you on that same screen with a estimate of what your financial aid package would look like. So this is anonymous. You could do it before you ever apply. We won't even know you did it. And it will give you an idea of where you might stand financially. So we do require the CSS profile form. So if you're getting to the point where you're going to be applying soon, please look into that. We do require that form, but again, we do meet that full need. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we can talk about next. Okay, there was another question about merit-based scholarships. Yes, that is the other 2% from our financial aid budget. We have one in STEM and the other is in musical performance. If you go to our financial aid webpage and click on merit scholarships, you can see a detailed description of both, including the qualifications required to be considered for that.
I saw a question about core requirements, and I thought that would be a good thing to go over. In addition to whatever you decide to major in or minor in, you'll have requirements that Skidmore needs you to do in order to graduate with that liberal arts degree. And so there's 10. I'll try to go through them as efficiently as possible. Rachel touched briefly on the Scribner seminar. That's your first year seminar class. Most colleges have some version of this, but ours is called the Scribner seminar. And they're very interdisciplinary, fun, unique courses. You get 45 different options to choose from every year. You rank your top 10 choices, and usually students are placed in one of their top 3 choices. In addition to that, there are some other foundational requirements. We have an expository writing class that you need to take within your first 2 years here. So that's usually an English type class. They have different themes, so you'll find one that feels interesting to you and you'll just take that, but it teaches you how to write at the college level. We also have a world languages and literature requirement, so you need to take a semester of a world language. It could be one that you've already taken in high school and you're somewhat fluent in and you want to continue building that skill, or you could start a new one. Maybe you didn't have the opportunity to take Japanese or German in your high school and now you want to. You can do that here at Skidmore. We also have quantitative reasoning requirements. There's 2 levels. There's foundational and applied. A lot of our students end up testing out of the foundational level, whether that be through standardized test scores or through a placement exam if you choose not to take standardized tests. I believe that on those standardized tests, it would be a 650 on the math section of the SAT or a 28 on the math section of the ACT to test out of that. I tested out of it. I never even took calculus, so if that gives anyone hope, it should. And then there's the applied level. Depending on your major, you might just fulfill that through doing your major requirements. I'm a psychology major, and there's a stats class for the major that fulfilled the requirement for me. Also important to note, you can double dip a lot of these requirements, whether it be 2 of these core requirements or the class fulfills this core requirement and a requirement for your major. So it's not this like intense thing that you really have to think about. You work with your advisor, you figure it out, but it's never something that's going to keep you from doing your double major or a major and a minor. In addition to that, let's see, we also have the artistic inquiry. So you need to take a semester of an arts class. It could be a music class, a dance class, a theater class, a studio art class. And there are a couple of writing classes like poetry, creative writing that often fill that requirement as well. We have a semester of science with a lab. So again, if you're planning on being a STEM major, it's not something that you're going to have to choose to do. It'll just happen for you. Our friends in the humanities and the arts, it's a little bit more of a process. You find something that is interesting to you. A lot of our students choose to take a geoscience class to fulfill that requirement, but there's a lot of options for that. We also have a humanistic inquiry. I think this is really one of the easiest requirements to get done without even thinking about it. And most of the time they're cross-listed. but there's a lot of different options like philosophy, religious studies, political science, English. So many classes fulfill that requirement. We also have something called the Global Cultural Perspectives requirement. That's taking a non-Western based class. And so again, a lot of different options for that, whether it be Latin American studies, intergroup relations, political science, history. American studies wouldn't fulfill that, but that's like the only department that like point blank period wouldn't fulfill it because it's American studies. And then we also have something called the experience requirement, and that's bridging power and justice into something that you might already be studying. So I took a class called Power, Privilege, and Oppression, very straightforward way to fulfill that requirement, but it looked at the US government and the ways that it systematically fails a bunch of populations here in the US. Lastly, we have the senior coda. And so that's a requirement that you don't have to worry about until your senior year of college. And it looks different in every department. Certain departments, you have to do a senior capstone project. Other times it's a senior thesis. And for some departments, it's as simple as taking the senior coda class. It really just depends on your major, your interest, and your future plans after Skidmore. But those are our 10 core requirements in a nutshell. I hope I didn't bore you all with that, but it is important for you to have a good sense of what those requirements are. And just for your frame of reference, I know that Rachel mentioned this earlier, but it really isn't hard to fulfill these requirements while also doing your area of study. I'm a double major in psychology and social work, and I fulfilled 9 out of 10 of these requirements before my sophomore year of college. The only one I didn't do was the senior coda because I wasn't a senior. So it is possible to continue on with what you're interested in while also fulfilling these requirements.
Melanie, that was a great answer without sounding like a catalog. So I should have recorded that. We do have a couple of questions about dorm life and residential life at Skidmore. So if you guys can just talk about your experiences and what's offered to students, we can kind of take care of both of those answers at once.
Yeah. So your first year at Skidmore, your housing's going to be random. You do fill out like a form all about like your sleep habits, like how clean you are, um, just different things about like how you live. And I'd say like they're pretty good about like matching people up. I actually heard like one year they allowed people to choose and like more people ended up switching out than like usually. So like they're pretty good about like matching people up, but I'd also say like housing here is very accommodating. So like if you do have any issues, like they will get you out of that room and like into a single like if you need to. Also if you need to like come into Skidmore with accommodations, they will also accommodate you. If you have accommodations, then you need to have a room alone. You also get accommodated for that. I'd say the dorms are really, really nice. And which is why like students stay on campus, like about like 95% of students stay on campus all 4 years. Um, this past year I lived in our sustainability living. So I took a 1 credit class to work in our student garden, and then I got to live in the newest dorm on campus. I kind of cheated the lottery system, guys. Um, but it was really, really fun. I literally spent like 1.5 hours every single week working in our garden. It was really, really nice to live there. So we have like a lot of specialty housing like that. So other than our sustainability living, we also have a dorm that is substance free. All of our dorms are substance free, but students in this dorm are choosing to live a substance free lifestyle in and out of the dorms. And then we have a more specialty housing that goes by floor. So we have a quiet floor, a all women's floor, multicultural floor, international floor, and then we also have a prism floor for LGBTQ plus students. And then I'd say like most people in their sophomore year, if they find someone they really want a room with, they'll be in a double. But I'd say also a lot of sophomores end up in singles. And then we have a bunch of on-campus apartments, kind of like townhouse style apartments that you can live in your junior and senior year. We have 3, 4, and 5 person apartments. And they're super, super nice. I'm living in one right now and it's a crazy upgrade. You get like a full kitchen, you have laundry, and also all dorms have free laundry in the basement. You also have like a common room, and you have a kitchen with like a microwave and a fridge and all that. So yeah, I've had a really great experience with housing here. They're very accommodating. Everything's like pretty clean. I haven't had like a lot of issues with things. And the people I've heard that like have maybe had like some roommate problems, like they've been able to like move out of their dorms and like become like accommodated very fast. So yeah, the dorms are very nice here.
Hey, thank you, Rachel. We also have a question about study abroad. So Melanie, you just came back. Rachel, you're going to be on your way. So I guess if you both can talk about how easy it was to put together, how you arrived at your choices, what it was like leaving, what it was like coming back, kind of take it from there, if you would, please.
Yeah, I just returned from Copenhagen, Denmark. And it's not a program that's directly affiliated with Skidmore. Skidmore has a couple of Skidmore run programs, but we have 100+ pre-approved programs through other schools, institutions, or study abroad, like agencies, programs. And I went to the off-campus studies and exchanges office and I said, "Hi, I'm a psych major and a social work major. Where can I go?" And we looked at my degree audit, which basically shows like what I've done so far in terms of my credits, where I stand academically, and what it gives them a better idea of like, do I need to take more classes for my major while abroad? They discovered that I did not need to do that, that I had finished my psychology major unbeknownst to me. And that they were like, you could go on any program and take classes in whatever you want, because the social work thing is a different, I knew that I'd have to move things around for that. And I planned with my advisor on that, because it's separately accredited. That's a whole complicated process that most of you will not have to worry about. But even with that, I was able to make sure that I'm on track with that major. But I really like psychology classes, and I wanted a program that had a wide variety of psychology courses. And so they said, here's a list of a couple programs that would fit that for you. And then they were like, and do you want to be in a big city? Do you want to be in a smaller city? Is public transportation important to you? Like, what are you looking for? And so they took everything into consideration and they were like, I think DIS Copenhagen would be good for you. And then I was like, oh, I know a couple people who did that program. That sounds really good. I applied first to Skidmore, then I was allowed to apply to the program itself, got into the program, did course registration. It was a whole thing, submitted it. It was all good, got pre-approved to take all those classes, and all of my classes transfer back to Skidmore. I have credit for doing that. So I'm by no means behind in credits. And I'm had a really great time. There were a lot of Skidmore students on that program, so I did know a couple people going in. I knew a couple friends from home who go to different schools, that I got to spend a semester with abroad, which was also a really great feeling, and it was just nice to reconnect with people. And I just also had FOMO while I was abroad and missed being at Skidmore, and I am making up for that by being here over the summer. So definitely a really good balance, but I really appreciate that my financial aid followed me abroad. That's a policy that Skidmore has. So you don't have to worry like, oh, I really want to go study abroad in Paris, but I can't, what if I can't afford to? You can. If you can afford to spend 4 years at Skidmore, you can afford to spend that one semester abroad or a whole academic year abroad if that's what you choose. But yeah, enough from me.
Yeah, the study abroad office is really, really great here. I made maybe about a million appointments with them this past semester. And they never made me feel like a burden, which is really nice. Well, it's their job. But yeah, I kind of had like a different like experience with it. I knew I either wanted to go to Dublin or Prague, and I kind of like came to the study abroad offices like, what are your programs in these places? And they just like showed me the different programs. I like went over it with people there. I actually ended up choosing a country that's very hard to get a visa for. I had to get like a criminal affidavit. They had to notarize everything for me. We have a notary here, which was really nice. They notarized all these different proof of sufficient funds and crazy stuff like that. So yeah, they were very, very helpful with like my whole application process. We also had like a pre-departure meeting before the end of the semester where students who had already like been in that program from Skidmore and had come back went and talked to then students who were going to that program. So I got to talk to a student from Skidmore who had gone to Prague with the same program I was going to, which was like super, super helpful. And like now I'm like good friends with her. Like I got her number. We like text all the time. So they're very good at like setting you up very well and preparing you to go abroad and like really like breaking down like everything you need, like sending you emails before you need to submit something. So yeah, they're really, really good about that.
Thank you both. There is a question in the chat uh, for Melanie and Rachel. How did you choose Skidmore when you were finalizing your college choice?
I can go ahead and answer that. I was very certain that Skidmore was the school for me. My guidance counselor in high school was like, she literally sat me down. She was like, "Girl, word for word, girl, there's nowhere else you want to go. Apply early decision." And I was like, "All right, sure." It was very simple. Like she had me talk it through, and I'll say the exact same thing that we ended up saying to each other. I knew that I wanted to study social work. Social work's a really hard thing to find at an undergraduate institution in general. I also had this extra stipulation that I wanted a small liberal arts college. I wanted my professors to know me. I wanted to feel supported. I wanted uh, them to feel like I was as important to them as they are to me, right? Like they learn from me like I learn from them. I wanted that kind of community. I toured Skidmore. My tour guide was like saying that to me, saying, I'm friendly with my professor. I eat lunch with my professor. Their office is open. I know their dog. Like, and I was like, oh, I'm sold. I felt really welcomed here at Skidmore. So I was like, that's really great. Financial aid was really important to me as well. And I knew that from talking to the financial aid office and doing their net price calculators, I knew that I would be supported here financially as well. I received more than the average financial aid package, with the average financial aid package is $57,000 a year. So I'm paying what I would pay to go to my in-state school as a New York State resident, if anyone's familiar with the SUNY system and the SUNY prices, but I'm going to Skidmore. And so it is really nice to know that I'm able to afford the college that I want to be at. So that like really informed my decision. I have zero regrets. And now I am like that student that was saying that I'm so friendly with my professor. Matt knows this professor, Rachel. Her name's Rachel also. And she lets me dog sit for her every time she's out of town. Her husband is like, I only trust you with our dogs, calls them the boys. He only trusts me with the boys. And so I'm like waiting for them to go on vacation again next month. And I'm like, please let me dog sit. But it's really great to know your professors like that. And so all of those things combined were like it just was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, sorry. I was a little different with that. I mean, I knew I wanted to go to a small liberal arts school. I had gone to small schools my entire life. I knew I wanted to have a small community and um have good relationships with my teachers and also be in the Northeast because I'm from New York City. Um I truthfully I didn't get into my ED1 school. I didn't get into my ED2 school. Skidmore was really not on my radar. I like knew nothing about it. I just like applied to Skidmore like because I knew it was a small liberal arts school in the Northeast. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna apply to every small liberal arts school in the Northeast. I remember I had visited another school right before I was supposed to visit Skidmore. I hated that school. I was like, there's nothing left for me. I came to Skidmore on on one of the admitted students day, and I remember kind of just like looking at my mom and being like, so what was the fuss about all of those other schools for? Kind of just being like, Skidmore really checked like every single box for me. The small school, the close relationship with your teachers and peers around you. I wanted a place that was a little more peaceful than New York City, but I still wanted a place that was like fun and had things to do and wasn't like kind of smack in the middle of nowhere. And I also just wanted to be around like-minded people, but also meet deep people with like different perspectives and people that would like pull me out of my shell. And Skidmore's really like checked every single box. So I'm very happy I didn't get into my early decision schools because I like could not imagine myself there at all. So yeah.
Okay, thanks, guys. And that gives me a great segue into one of the other questions here in the Q&A about the acceptance rate of early decision versus regular decision. As you can see from our large student sample of 2, there are different ways to arrive at Skidmore. Last year, our overall acceptance rate was about, I think it was 26% in the end. So competitive for sure. There is let's say, a noticeable difference between early decision and regular. Early decision is typically over 50%. It can vary from year to year because it's such a small pool compared to the regular that it's more subject to some statistical fluctuation. I can say with confidence that this coming year as well, it will be noticeably easier to get in early than regular. Now, with that said, don't use early decision as a means of trying to get in because it's not early action. We are early decision, so it is a binding agreement. If you are admitted to Skidmore, you agree beforehand to withdraw all other applications. Your guidance counselor will stop sending info to other colleges. Like it's a serious commitment. But our advice about early decision is if you do your research and you just fall in love with us and say, yep, this is it. Like Melanie did, then it can be a great thing to do because first of all, it is easier to get in, but also you could be walking around your high school halls in December with your Skidmore sweatshirt on and it's all over. And there's certainly something very appealing about that. But I would say take the commitment seriously because, again, it is a binding agreement. And we do have 2 rounds of early decision, ED1 and ED2, as we call it, as Rachel spoke about for her college experience. The acceptance rates between those 2 rounds are virtually the same. They're really just different points on the calendar. You may not be ready to make an early commitment and wait for ED2. You may not be successful in your ED1 school and then go for your second choice. Lots of different reasons about the timing. And I will say one last thing about it, that together between the early decision 1 and early decision 2, we typically enroll about half of our eventual incoming class. So if we're your number 1 pick, I highly recommend it. If you can't say that for sure, or of course, if you're sure we're not your top pick, then I would advise not going that route. Okay, we are nearing the end of our hour. We somehow, the 3 of us, successfully got the quick Q&A down to very little. If we did not get to your question, and there's only a handful, I would encourage you to send that question to our email address. That's admissions with an S, so not just admission, it's admissions@skidmore.edu. We get back to people very, very quickly. Someone's at the other end of that email address, sending it off to all of the admissions counselors, and we get back to students very quickly. So I want to thank you for dropping in and taking a listen about Skidmore. We hope that you like what you heard and that perhaps you'll investigate us a little bit further. It's very easy to see other online offerings. Obviously, you found this one, so we are constantly posting more ways to interact with us virtually. And of course, on the admissions page, again, if you live within traveling distance and have the means to get here, we love to see people in person, but feel free to reach out to us. Melanie and Rachel, thank you so much. Also, you guys were awesome. Literally couldn't have done it without you. And thanks very much, everybody. Good luck with the process and have a good rest of your day.